Curso Intermedio 2, Inglés, Past Perfect, by María Cerratos and Melina Claudio. Selex, UAM Iztapalapa.
Past perfect uses. Number 1. The past perfect expresses an activity that was completed before another activity or time in the past. Example: I had already left the party by the time people began to dance. What happened first in this sentence? I left the party. What happened later? People began to dance. Example 2. We got home late. The children had already fallen asleep. First action, the children fell asleep. Second action, we got home. Note, the second action is expressed in the simple past. Past perfect uses. Number 2. We also use the past perfect when we are talking about the past and want to talk about an action that happened earlier. For example, when her husband returned, she had already drowned her children. What happened first in this sentence? She drowned her children. What happened later? Her husband returned. Example 2. When we finally arrived to school, we realized we had not studied for the test. What happened first in this sentence? We didn't study for the test. What happened then? We arrived at school. Past perfect uses. Number 3. When we are reporting our experience up to a point in the past. Examples: my 15th birthday was the worst day I had ever had. I was pleased to meet George. I hadn't met him before, even though I had met his wife several times. For something that happened in the past and is important at a later time in the past. Examples: Teresa wasn't at home. She had gone shopping. I couldn't get into the house. I had lost my keys. Now we're going to speak about grammatical form. The past perfect is made from the verb had and the past participle of a verb. For example, we have the subject I, the auxiliary verb had or hadn't if it's a negative sentence, plus the verb in past participle, gone. I had gone. You had gone. He had fallen. She had not broken. It had not studied. We had taken. You had not taken. They had gone. For the interrogative form, we need to begin with the auxiliary verb have, continue with the subject, then the verb in past participle, plus a complement, and finally a question mark. For example, had you gone shopping? Had she broken a leg? Had they taken before? The answers can be no, I had not. Yes, I had. No, she had not. Yes, she had.
Let's review the pronunciation of the contractions in past perfect tense. When we have the contraction, the pronoun I'd and had, we say it. The next one, you'd, he'd, she'd, it'd, we'd, you'd, and they'd. But when we have the negative form, we have had not. The contraction is hadn't for all the pronouns. I hadn't, you hadn't, he hadn't, she hadn't, it hadn't, we hadn't, you hadn't, and they hadn't.
Yes, no questions. To form yes, no questions, we need auxiliary verb had plus subject plus verb in past participle and, if it is necessary, a complement. For example, had you gone shopping? Had he fallen asleep? Had she broken a leg? Had we studied before? Remember, our short answers: yes, I had, or no, I hadn't. Yes, she had, or no, she hadn't. WH questions. To form a WH question, we need, first of all, our WH question, for example, what, how many times, why, where, how, etc., plus the auxiliary verb had, plus our subject, plus our verb in past participle, and a complement. Don't forget your question mark. Examples. What had he eaten before? How many times had she fallen in love? Why had we returned home by 8 o'clock? Where had you studied before?